It is lovely to have you here. A big shout out to everyone liking, commenting, subscribing over on YouTube. A huge thank you to everybody supporting on Patreon. I got a comment on my last video. I was saying Patreon wrong. My apologies for that, but the sentiment remains the same. A huge thank you to everyone supporting over there. The support on Patreon really does help me keep making videos like this, keep sharing these kind of things. So we should all be giving them a huge thank you. Right, what are these sort of things? What are we looking at today? Well, you read the title on this video. Micro glitch percussive techno is what we're looking at today. And this actually came from two questions over on Patreon. One question was about making micro glitch kind of beats and sounds, the sounds that maybe Björk uses a lot in her drum programming. And another question came about, how do we use these kind of generative programming techniques in a more techno-orientated context? So I thought, that sounds like fun. Let's put those two things together. Let's see what happens. So let's take a listen to the layers that are going on right now. There's this Pandero, Zimbabwean Pandero doing some stuff there. And then we've got some drums happening here. Just got a kick drum, got a hi-hat, got a kind of snare drum thing happening there. This is the micro glitch stuff. This is what we're really going to look at today. Then this is one layer of micro glitch stuff and a second layer of micro glitch stuff that are kind of functioning as sends that we can turn on and off. So we're going to look at how to program all of that stuff today. Let's turn that off. Let's press stop on this and let's start from the start. Oh, we're going to have to turn that off as well. So I've prepared 3 samples for today's project. These samples are from a pack that I just put up on my Patreon, a 1 gigabyte of percussion samples of stuff that all sounds like this. I made this pack specifically for exploring the kind of techniques that we're going to look at today, these kind of generative sampling, resampling, programming techniques. If you want these 3 samples, link in the description below to just download these 3 samples if you want to follow along exactly what we're doing today, and link in the description below if you want to grab that whole percussion pack as well, available as a one-off purchase. Right, enough advertisements. Right, we're at 134 BPM today as well if you're wanting to follow along. So we're going to start by trying to make some super glitchy sounds out of these percussion stuff. So we're going to use a granulator to do that. So I'm going to go to, not MIDI effects, I'm going to go to instruments, I'm going to go to granulator, and I'm going to drag it into a new channel. I'm going to drag that skin drum finger thing over in here as well. Right, I'm going to go to the granulator here, and I'm just going to put in 16th notes going right the way through the bar. So let's do it like that, just like that. Let's press play. And we can hear it triggering the granulator. Okay, let's make this do some stuff. First of all, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change just the attack and release. And we're going to turn the release right the way down. Cool. So that's stopped the sample playing. Right. Now let's do some randomization of stuff. So let's go to MIDI effects. Let's bring in expression control. And I'm going to change all of these to random. Random 100% and linear. Let's do the same on this. Probably cut this out in the edit. Right, so now I've changed all of these to be on those same random settings. Let's map some of this stuff to some of the stuff over in the granulator. First of all, let's map this to the position. So every time this receives a new MIDI note, it's giving us a new position. That's really nice. Right, let's do something with the grain size, perhaps. Perhaps that's about as short as I ever want it to be. So let's map you to here. And maybe not so much variation. Yeah, this is quite nice already. Right, let's map this maybe to the spread. So we're getting some wide sounds and some not so wide sounds. That's really nice. Let's actually turn the variation up here just a little bit. Let's bring the shape down. Yeah, let's connect this with the shape. Again, let's make this quite small. Something like that. And let's make that go. Yeah, super nice. Now we're getting these kind of like croaky, froggy sounds, and that's because sometimes it's just getting stuck on one little grain here or one little bit of the sound here, and it's giving us those froggy sounds. Let's make it not do that. So let's just turn the scan up, and let's turn up quite high. Okay, this is doing some nice stuff now. Let's connect the last one of these with the transpose. Cool, we're getting some really weird, nice sounds happening here. Let's do some audio processing to this. Let's bring in a multi-band dynamics. Let's just bring in an OTT. Yeah, let's bring the amount down a bit and turn the output up. We're getting some really weird, super cool glitchy sounds. Do we want these notes to be shorter? Let's see what happens. Let's go MIDI effects. Let's bring in a note length at the start of all of this, or in here, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. This is quite nice. Tell you what, I'm going to change these to be 8th notes. So we're just going to go, oh, come on. Come on. Like that. Yeah, and now let's randomize this length. So let's bring in another, let's just duplicate this expression control, Command D. And let's randomize this note length here. Let's make it go from really short to... Yeah, this is nice. Okay, cool. We're getting lots of really interesting clicky, glitchy sounds. Let's bring in a limiter, audio effects limiter. And let's just really, really smash the input gain. There we go. This is really cool. Okay, let's maybe add a redux. Let's add a redux in here. Let's use some of the stuff on this expression control to control the redux stuff. Yeah. And then also the bit here. And let's also do the dry wet. So let's map that to the dry wet here. Bring that all the way down, this up like this, and like this. Yeah, cool. Actually, I don't ever want it to be 100% wet. I'm thinking kind of like that. Yeah. You could try all sorts of stuff after this. You could put like a shifter in here and you get some cool, like these kind of digital artifact stuff, which is super cool, or on ring mod mode, especially with a little bit of drive. We're going to get some cool effects happening there as well. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to resample this. So I'm going to bring in a new audio track, Command T. I'm going to select the input to be that Granulator 3. I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to go like this. And let's maybe record 4 bars of this. There we go. Oh, that's going to do 5 bars. It doesn't matter. All right, let's press stop on that. We're just kind of done with that for now, so I'm actually going to turn the channel off. Well, what have we got here? Oh, yeah, a whole bunch of really cool glitchy stuff. Right, we're going to drop that into a simpler. Instruments, simpler. Where have you gone? Simpler. And we're just going to drag that in here. We're going to put this on slice mode, and look at that. It's done a great job of identifying those individual slices. Maybe there's 1 or 2 in here that I want to add a new slice. Yeah, let's put one here as well. That's actually looking pretty good. Maybe in here as well. Let's add the slice here. Very nice. Oh yeah, that one. That's going to be super glitchy and short. And at the end here, I think I want this to be a slice as well. Anything else? That actually all looks pretty good. Okay, cool. Let's look about programming some stuff. So let's use a sequencer. Let's go to MIDI effects. And this time I think I'm going to use melodic steps in here. Got to turn the chants all the way up. Always love it when we get these kind of things happening. Before we do that, I wonder what the top note that is triggering a sample is going to be. Let's maybe find that out. So let's turn that off. Let's come in here and let's go here. So yeah, these are still samples. This is still a sample. Wow. Okay. There, A4. So let's set this range to go from C1 to A4. So let's bring in a MIDI effects pitch. We're going to go C1, which is here. And what's that? A4 is going to be. How's my maths? Let's just call it 36. So that's going to be. That means that everything is going to be within this range. And let's make that fold mode. So any MIDI notes that this generates outside of that range, which is now C1 to C4, it's going to fold them back into the range, which means that we can go like this, and we're going to be triggering notes all the time. So Let's do some stuff with this melodic steps. Let's make the note sequence perhaps 12 notes long. This is super nice. And we can generate sort of new sequences like this. Super nice. Let's make the octave thing. Let's make this go maybe 4 steps. So at the moment, we're just generating sequences with this. I like to use the chance from 0, either minimum or maximum, so that we can mute steps like this. Let's make it do something like this. That one on 50% maybe. Nice. And because the chance is a 16-step sequence and the pitch or the slice choosing is a 12-step sequence, we're getting like the same rhythmic thing happening every time, but the pattern is sort of happening in the same order every time. So we're recognizing patterns, but it feels a bit different. What happens if we do some length stuff here and then we change this to gate mode? That's also really nice. Okay, let's bring an expression control in here, and let's use this to do some stuff with the use this to do some stuff with the transpose. So let's set this to random, set this up to here again, send this to here again, put that on the transpose. Nice, we're getting some super nice stuff. I'm going to turn the volume to velocity all the way down, and maybe let's connect the velocity with the filter cutoff. So let's give it some velocity information happening. Let's also make that 16 so it sort of follows the steps on and off. And let's connect that with the filter. So let's go into the controls here. Let's turn the filter down and let's make it do velocity to filter. Nice. Let's maybe change this to the Oscar filter, then we can give it some drive. Nice, I'm really liking this. Maybe a little bit of, yeah. Super nice. Yeah, this is super nice. Right, let's group that, select all of it, press Command G. Let's right click over on here on the instrument rack, and we're going to group to drum rack. So that's now grouped that into a drum rack for us. So I'm going to drag that up onto G1 here. And I'm going to put in a kick drum on the C1. So let's go to instruments. Let's bring in the DS kick there. Program something in. Let's maybe make it do something like this. How's that kind of sound? Yeah, nice. Okay, let's come back to this instrument rack. Let's do some post-processing in here. Let's actually really bring that out. Let's go audio effects, raw. Let's saturate it a bit. And give a bit of compression on that. Yeah, really nice. And just saturate the highs even a bit more. Yeah, now we're getting these really nice glitchy sounds. Cool, cool, cool. Let's add a hi-hat. Let's go to instruments, DS hi-hat in here. Let's put that on C# one, and let's just make that do a sort of standard techno-y offbeat hi-hat. Let's bring it really short. There we go. Super nice. I'm going to use the seed pods sample as a kind of a snare. So I'm going to just drag that into D1. I'm going to choose slice. I'm going to bring the transients right down. So it's only getting the start of each one. Maybe I just actually need to come in and delete that. Okay, I'm going to switch this to gate mode. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to put something in here on the 2 and the 4. We're not hearing it yet because it's trying to trigger sample that's out the top here. So let's change the in out of this. So seed pods, the first output should be C1. And I think C1 is even, here is trying to trigger that. So there we go. Okay, let's randomize which hit it is. Let's grab MIDI effects. Let's bring in random here. Let's chance 100% and maximum 6. Cool. Let's transpose this up like maybe 7. That's really nice. Cool, and I think I just want this to be even shorter, so let's bring in a MIDI effects note length. Let's put this in here, and let's Yeah, this is really nice. And let's maybe add a, what's it called? A line delay here, and let's make it this kind of stereo. Yeah, this is really nice. Okay, we can bring that down a little bit. Okay, let's come back to this glitchy stuff, and let's make some layers for this. So I'm going to drag in onto A1. I'm going to drag in a 4-tap granular delay rack that I made in a previous video. Link in the description if you want to grab this or check out how to make it. But you could use any effects you like in here. The technique is really interesting, I think. You could just use sort of a standard echo or some reverb, but I'm just going to drag that onto A1 here. And I'm going to turn the solo on that so we can hear it as well. And I'm actually going to turn the solo off on the glitchy stuff. Actually, let's rename that. Let's rename that micro glitch. That's what it is. It's micro glitch. Cool. So now on this delay rack that I've just dragged in, I'm going to turn off the dry chain because we're going to use this as kind of a send. So I'm going to bring in an audio effect. I'm going to bring in a compressor before it. And I'm going to choose to listen to the micro glitch. So I'm going to choose source drum rack, and I'm going to say I want to listen to the micro glitch, and I want that to be post effects. And now I'm going to turn on the little headphone monitor here. And now we can hear that micro glitch stuff going through this delay rack. Right, let's adjust some stuff in here. Let's give maybe a little bit less verb on these. This is quite nice, and maybe just a little bit more feedback. It could be quite nice. What happens if this is pitched up? Yeah, super nice. Now, it's a little bit too much happening all the time, so I'm going to create a situation where I can just press a MIDI note and have it send the micro glitch stuff into this delay rack. So I need to create a kind of send situation in here. So I'm going to do that using a utility. We're going to drag that in between where it's grabbing the audio and where it's sending it into the delay rack. And I'm going to turn this all the way down here. And now we can hear that delay stuff sort of fading out. And I'm going to bring in a MIDI effects envelope in here. And I'm going to connect this with this gain here. So I'm going to press map. I'm going to press to the gain. Yes, I want it to be 50%. I want it only going in one direction. Let's turn the sustain up, attack, and let's turn the release down. So now I can come in here into this drum rack. And if I just put a MIDI note in here, we can see it opening up the send. And we can hear it being sent into the rack. This is really nice. Going to turn the velocity off here so it's always going up to 100. There we go. Let's maybe turn the chance down on that. So let's turn that chance down to maybe something like that. Maybe 40, 30%. Yeah, and let's actually put that all the way through. And let's bring all of these down to 10%. Yeah, so it's not always happening at the start of the bar. It's now happening at random points in the bar that it's being sent into this. Let's call this Grand Delay. Okay, cool. How does that sound with the glitch? Super nice. Yeah, we're getting these super nice textures. Okay, let's turn that off for now. Let's do another similar thing, but I'm going to use this to create a little ringing outy notey type thing. We're going to use corpus. So I'm going to bring in audio effects corpus. I'm going to drag it onto a sharp one here. I'm going to do the same thing in order to grab the sound. So I'm going to bring in a compressor. I'm going to select external sidechain input. I want it from the drum rack, and I want it from the micro glitch post effects. And we want to turn this on. So now we're hearing it twice, but now we could bring this back here. Okay, nice. Now let's change some stuff on this. Let's make this a membrane. And instead of having a MIDI note for the send to this, I'm going to use a gated thing. So only the loud notes are going to get through. So I'm going to go to audio effects. I'm going to just bring in a gate. And again, this needs to go in between where it's grabbing the sound and it going into the effects. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah, we want this 100%. We don't want any of the dry sound coming through. And let's add a reverb after that. Let's go to audio effects. Let's bring in hybrid reverb. Super nice. And let's sidechain that because that's going to be a super heavy effect. Let's sidechain that against the kick drum. So let's bring in a compressor. Let's put that in here. And we want to take external input from the drum rack and kick drum post effects. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, how does that sound with these guys? Let's call this verb stuff. And that can really come down in the mix, I think. Yeah. I think that can come right down in the mix. Super nice. So we've got a drum rack happening now. Let's drum bus this. Let's give it a whole bunch of bottom end. Let's go to audio effects. Drum bus. Yeah, let's give it some boom. Some drive. Let's bring the dry wet down. Yeah, let's come back to our kick drum actually, and let's add a bit of drive to this. Let's go. There we go. Maybe an EQ8 just to take some of the top end off it. Yeah, and let's maybe just take a little bit of the mud out as well. Yes. Something like that. Super nice. Right, let's bring in this Pandero layer. So I've got this Zimbabwean Pandero sample. I'm going to bring in Simpler. Let's go instruments, Simpler. Drag that over here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag this Zimbabwe Pandero layer in here. We're going to turn slice on. And you can see it's just sliced every individual hit. Super nice. Let's turn that drum rack off for now. Let's use SQ sequencer for this. Let's go audio effects. No MIDI effects, please. SQ sequencer. I'm going to want to make sure that the output of this is always folded into these hits. So I'm going to again use a pitch device. I know that the first hit is going to be C1. If I drag that across to there. So that's going to be 36 here. And I think there's there's probably 8. Ooh, this one needs to be dragged across to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, so I'm going to go 7 there. And we're going to turn this to fold. There we go. Let's randomize this. Let's make it 16. This is already super nice. Let's do a little bit of stuff to the sound. Let's bring in raw. I want to just bring out that tonality of it a little bit more. So I'm going to saturate the mids. Yeah. How does that sound already? Yeah. Digging it. Let's again use the velocity as a way to do something with the cutoff. So let's bring this volume to velocity all the way down. And let's randomize this velocity. And let's come in here and let's do this and bring this down. Yeah. Cool. I think that's a good place to leave it today. I'm not going to go so into how to continue processing these sounds. I just really wanted to look at these kind of micro glitchy drum stuff and a little bit of this sort of chopped up percussion programming. Hope you got something from today. Thanks for being here. See you next time.